All right, so today, to deepen your connection with your kids, you're going to look into their eyes more. Okay, so it's going to go two different parts. Part one is every time that you can throughout the entire day, find their eyes and look at them. Hold that gaze, hold that look for as long as you can, okay? And then the second part is at one point during the day, at one very intentional point, have a staring contest. Like actually say, hey, we're going to look in each other's eyes as long as we can. And if it does need to be the staring contest, like whoever looks away first loses or whatever, great. Or if they can settle in and just like look with you, like we're going to look as long as we can. And it's just an activity that you guys both do together. It's not needing to be a contest or whatever. Like that's fine. You know, whatever it takes that's going to make this playful and something that they're willing to do. You know, and you might already notice like, oh my gosh, I don't think they're going to go for this at all. They're never going to sit still long enough to look in my eyes. And, you know, that gives you some feedback. It gives you feedback about maybe your, you know, sort of like expectations from them, but also, you know, maybe about their energy levels or whether they can settle in very easily or not. And like, okay, would this maybe help? What could I do to like get them to settle in more? Maybe if I held their hands, maybe if, you know, whatever, we sat outside or stuck our feet in water, but like something that might bring this about more easily. And these are just ways that we're experimenting with it and getting feedback. But, you know, really all it is just we're looking at each other's eyes, and there's so much sweetness in it. There's sweetness, there's connection in it. You can tell that just when you look in someone's eyes. And so I don't think I need to sell that very much. I think that one's pretty clear. But what I find, or at least what I found when I did this, is that, man, during the day, when I was doing the part of this exercise that was like looking at my children and like looking for their eyes as many times as I could during that day, I realized that I drop contact with my kids' eyes way more than they do. Especially my younger one, and younger kids are like this. They may look in your eyes really directly often, or maybe not. Maybe they're very busy kind of younger kids, and you might have to really like say, hey, you know, look at me or something to get their attention. But I noticed in my particular relationship that I dropped my gaze sooner. I had to really, you know, pay attention and hold it and realize like, oh my gosh, yeah, he would be looking at me a whole lot more, because I kind of look out over him, or I'm looking towards the next thing, you know. And even with my daughter too, who is a teen, she looks at me more than I thought. I drop the contact or drop that gaze much sooner than they do. And, you know, you find these things, and it feels so good to hold their contact, their eye contact. It definitely settles me in more and doesn't keep me in this like hyperdrive mode. It's definitely a grounding kind of effect to look at them. It makes me feel more connected to them during the day, even if we didn't do anything particular. We didn't do any amazing, you know, mommy and kid activity, and we didn't have some major bonding moment, but just going through the day, looking at them as many times as I can, definitely leaves me at the end of the day with a much more connected feeling. And, you know, notice how that goes, and ask them how it goes for them. What did they think of it? If they're, you know, if they have any thoughts or feelings, you may be really surprised to hear. I love how kids always say things that just like surprise you, because they'll come up with something and you're like, wow, okay, you know, I didn't know. And then just notice their behavior. Notice your behavior, their behavior, just see what it does. I mean, do they pay more attention to you during the day, on this day that you've done all the eye contact and you've done the staring contest? Do you guys kind of get along more easily? Is there more laughter present with you guys? Is there that general feeling of just connection? What happens? See if there are any details that shift just by playing this little staring game, eye connection, you know, see what you get.